This is a video about installing a CB or ham radio into your Jeep. In my case, this is an overhead install, and I'll show how I actually installed the radio and routed the cables. Very clean install. There's no visible wires or cables other than just what's coming out of the A-pillar cover. But it's routed through here, through the around the roll bars, down the side pillar roll bars, and the radio's mounted under the seat. All right, to get access under the lining here on the roll bar, it's got the zipper, and this of course is like the 2016 version, but I'm sure it's the same on the earlier models as well. These are all zippered, which makes it very, very easy to get into. But in order to access it, this is just Velcro that holds this on. You just pull that aside, and there's your zipper. It couldn't ask for a much simpler setup. Back to removing the sun visor, and that requires a T15 Torx screwdriver, or Torx driver, in order to get these Torx bolts out. Then to remove this corner panel, right here in the corner of this, there's one screw, and it's just a Phillips screw right here, and that will drop down this corner panel. That will give you access all the way from once I unzip the roll bar cover, it'll go right out through here, and then I'll be able to wire it right into the A-pillar cover. In order to remove this, I've taken out the one screw, Phillips screw here, but right here is just a push pin, sort of a one-way push pin. If you really need to pull this out, you can actually pull it out. But I found that once I unzip this, I can actually get down through here without having to remove this. It just needs to come down a little bit so I can access it. Once I got this loose on both sides and took out pulled down the visors, I was able to take out the A-pillar cover, or just drop it down. I don't have to remove it, just so I can route the cable through here and then come out here on the bottom. All right, I've fed the wire down through this notch. It's the wire that goes, there's a wire that goes through the A-pillar cover that comes down to the mirror for the power button here on the rear view mirror. And then I just route the cable through the A-pillar cover, through this corner cover, and then it will route through the roll bar cover and then come down the side. Just a note about this corner cover, the screw that goes in here does not screw into the metal there. There's actually just this little pressure plug. It's sort of like the mounts that you put into sheetrock and the walls in the house. This screw actually screws into this, and then the pressure of the screw going in actually expands. That's what holds it in place. So that screw does not really screw into the metal, it screws into this little pressure holder. So be careful when you're taking it out so that you don't lose this. I almost lost it myself, not realizing that this was in there. All right, I've pushed the A-pillar cover back up tight, just snapped it into place. The A-pillar cover simply is snapped in there. You can just pull it out by hand. Just make sure that you line up all the little snaps inside when you put it back. And I don't know if it's visible in the picture, but the cable is coming out right here. Just make sure it's not. There's a notch in the A-pillar cover right there that this little pin fits into. Just make sure that the cable isn't covering over that, and then it's wired around here in the inside, and then inside the roll bar cover. Okay, I've got the cable properly routed through here. It's inside the roll bar cover and it's coming out here, and then I'll have to run it down the vertical pillar here. Get at that from the back seat. Alright, with the front seat, passenger seat pushed forward, this vertical pillar cover, it's the same thing. The zipper is hidden inside the molding. You just pull it out and zip it right up top, and you should be able to route the cable right through there. Now when you get to this point, then it's just a matter, kind of like normal trim, to press the cable inside the molding here so that it comes out, you know, down there on the floor near where I want to install it under the passenger seat. With that unzipped, you have access to the pillar here. You can see there's already cables here inside. It looks it's probably for the speaker system up on the roof here, on the ceiling. Okay, the cable's now zipped into the vertical pillar cover here, and then it's just a matter of wedging it into the inside the molding all the way down to the floor, and then pushing this back, this pigtail here, the zipper pigtail, back into the molding as well. Okay, so like I said, this was very easy. Now I have the cable is coming out here right where the bottom of the seat belt connects, and that's not a moving part, so it won't interfere with the cable or vice versa. So I just pressed the cable inside the molding. There's enough clearance there that it slipped in without any hassles whatsoever. And so I'll probably leave this just out, or maybe under here. But since the radio will be mounted right over here, that's not a long distance. This is such a short stretch here from the door to the molding, I'll probably just leave it out like that. But then I'll just, same thing, I'll press the antenna back into the molding. There's enough clearance here in this I don't know, the carpeted material here, that you can just push the antenna cable right back up under there, all the way up to the front where I routed the control cable. There's plenty of clearance there behind this carpeted material here that you can just slip the antenna cable right into this gap here, and then just like the control cable, you know, route it down through here, bring it out here, and then down the same way as a control cable. So just like the control cable, there's nothing exposed. This is all, the antenna cable is all inside, all the way down through here. There's, again, about a 1/2 inch crossover, and then I just put it right under the molding at the base of the seat, and then it pops out here so that it can feed the radio right there. And now comes the hard part, and that's how to figure out wiring the power into the back here to the radio. Alright, taking care, I just slip a butter knife, just a regular butter knife, but making sure I'm not marring anything, and I just twist it a bit to pry it out, and then these are all just held in by these little pressure pins, and then I pull the whole side out. Alright, and then that just slides right out, gaining access. And this is what I'm looking for. It's kind of a foam passage into the engine compartment through the firewall. Alright, with my trusty coat hanger that I've cut and straightened out, I'll just run it through this foam here. Actually, it goes through fairly easily. Comes out right in here, kind of on the just Actually, it's not a bad location because it's technically outside the firewall, but still gets into the cab, so you can route the wire right through here and probably maybe ground to this. We'll see if that's a decent ground. Because the space here is fairly thin, I'm going to run one wire through at a time. So I brought the coat hanger in from the firewall from the inside the engine compartment, and then I taped right now the red wire to it, and I'll just pull it in through, and that way I'll do just one wire at a time. Well, that was pretty straightforward. 2 seconds flat. And there's the black wire. This is where it comes in. I've routed it down the side, underneath, through here. So it'll be coming through the panel. And then I brought it back all the way to the back here, and then started it right under the molding in the rear, so there'll be no wiring. There's no wiring visible. And so you lift up the carpet, it's all underneath the molding all the way, and I brought it underneath, even under this corner, which is probably the hardest part, was to get it under that little corner there. And then it goes under here and it comes out here, but I'm not going to run it through the molding any further because it's going right to the radio under the seat. So from this point on, I'll just run it right straight across to the radio. Alright, I'm putting an inline fuse right where the cable connects to the battery. There is an inline fuse right where the power line goes into the radio, but I want one at the battery just in case the line shorts out anywhere in between, which could cause a fire. So I picked this up at the car parts store, and I'll just crimp it right into place. With my wire crimper. Nice. All right, so I cut the cable, the power lines here to the right length so I don't have too much extra here underneath. And then I spliced in the actual power connector and put some shrink tubing on it so that it's all set to go. And all that's left now is connect the power to the battery, or the power line to the battery, and the ground to the ground, and we should be in business, other than actually installing the radio down here. Well, there's the install wired up, and there's not much room here for feet in the back. So I don't know, maybe I'll adjust the location, but for now it's all connected up. Power's on. This radio is kind of strange. There's no grounding lug on it, so I just put a grounding wire connecting to the mounting bracket, and then grounded it to a screw. So finally, for my remote and my remote speaker solution here, going along with my idea that I don't want to drill any holes in my Jeep, even to mount stuff, I came up with this. This is fits in the cup holder, and actually you just screw it out and it expands to clamp itself into the cup holder. But then I just got a small 3-inch speaker and put it into this this stand, which was intended for mobile phones, but it clamps very well right onto this small speaker that I've got. And then I just run the and instead, rather than use the cup holder in the front seat, I'll use the cup holder in the back seat. So that's the speaker setup. I just plugged it straight into the back seat cup holder, and it puts the speaker right behind my elbow, which is perfect for my hearing, at least for my right ear. Straightforward, no drilling. So that makes for a tight little mount. Very solid. And it is a nice compact head controller, or controller head. It clears everything, clears plenty of clearance here. Well, there it is, all buttoned up. Pretty nice. Still got to figure out what to do with the microphone, but it fits well. And clean install. There's no wires whatsoever, not visible. Neither the antenna nor the control cable. This is WK3. Is anyone out there for a radio check?
This is W1J monitoring.
W1J, this is WK. Name is Lee.
My name is Bridget and I read you 5x5.
Great, thanks very much for the signal. I'm out near Dulles Airport. Just installed radio and antenna into my Jeep, so I wasn't sure how I'm getting into the receiver. Bluemont, I think, is about 50 miles from here, so actually I suppose that's not doing bad.